Welcome to the Gyrl podcast. I'm Kyra Mitchell-Lewis, and thank you all for joining. Hope everyone is doing well out there. I hope your week is going fabulous. I hope it is not too warm where you are. Hopefully you're starting to see fall begin to appear, even though it's not fall yet, but maybe you're getting a little bit closer to some cooler weather. Well, today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics to talk about, and something that is near and dear to the Glow Up Girl mission, which is purpose. I'm going to be joined by Catherine McCourt, who is a transformational life and business coach, and she's also the founder of Fearless Future Inc. and also a podcaster just like me. Catherine will join me after the break to talk about how she found purpose in her life, as well as how she helps others do the same. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the Glow Up Girl podcast. I'm Kyra, and thank you all for joining. Well, now I am back with Catherine. So welcome, Catherine, to the Glow Up Girl podcast.
Thank you so much, Kyra. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. Well, before we dive into all things purpose, let's find out a little bit more about you. So why don't you tell the audience who you are and what you do?
Sure. Well, I'm someone who has always been very, very curious about what makes people tick. Throughout my life, I think I've always just looked at things from a deeper perspective of why people are doing certain things. Why have they made decisions in their life? Why did they end up where they are? Or how did they go from here to there? So I think becoming a coach, which is what I do, transformational life and business coaching, just sort of lent itself. I think just figuring out my own purpose took time. It always does. But my background in my career, I started to dissect really what were the things that I loved in my career. And my background is in sales and business development and on an international level. And I did that for 20 years. And like I said, I kind of had to dissect it and think about all the things that I was really passionate and what I loved in my life, what the things that drove me and excited me. And I realized that being a coach really connected all that together. It's a little more intricate than just finding like key pieces, but realizing like I love to speak to people, I love to learn, I love to connect. All that really speaks to who I am naturally, which is really where your life purpose begins. And so in 2020 is really when I officially got certified, although I feel like I've been coaching as well as absorbing as much as I could to hone my skills in coaching throughout my life.
Awesome. Love that. All right. So let's talk about finding life's purpose. How do you describe like finding your purpose?
Sure. I think it's something that we don't find. I really believe that it's something that we awaken within ourselves. I am a believer that we are born with a certain we're born with DNA, right? And so this soul purpose piece that I coach around, I believe is really your DNA. It's who you naturally are. It's how you naturally be in the world. And I think that is something that is innately in us from the time that we're born. It just develops. And of course, we all live through different experiences. We all live through different things in our life that help either tailor that, grow it, evolve it, or sometimes minimize it and suffocate it. But I do think that it's not about finding it. I think it's there, it's within us. It's about how do we awaken it and how do we start recognizing when it's showing up or what exactly it is.
I love that. I love that so much because it's so true. It's like people are running sometimes. Yes. Sometimes they're running from like their purpose because it's like you said, it's in you from the day that you are born, and yes. You're trying, it's up to you to either like evolve, take it, grow it and evolve it, or you're going to keep trying to stifle it down, but it's still going to show its head.
Yes. Well, the big thing is, and a lot of what I do in coaching is help sort of chip away at the things that made you think that maybe what your heart wanted you to follow wasn't good enough or wasn't worth it to follow or was just a hobby or something in that matter or that type of situation. So it's all about recognizing as well as that there are certain pressures that are put on us, right? From our families, from society, from things, like I said, that we were taught when we were children. And sometimes those things make us feel that if we went for a particular roadmap, or we went for a particular career or wanted to live our life a different way, maybe we think that we can't do that because something in our life has made us feel that it's not worth it, or I can't do that because I come from this, or I don't have the skills to do that. So it's really like, that's where the intricate part of life purpose comes into play. It's about chipping away at all the things that have, what you said, and reiterating, like, that sort of minimized it or suffocated it for some people.
Yes. So would you say that is like one of the main reasons why it's so hard for people to actually like hone in on purpose?
Yes, I would definitely say that. I think, life purpose is a simple concept. It really is. Like, life purpose is living with intention. And life purpose is living by your values and your beliefs. Really, that's technically what life purpose is. But when it comes down to people wanting to live their life purpose, then that's when the intricacy starts, meaning that it's very difficult to start figuring out exactly what that is. Because like most people, we all have passions. We all have things that we love to do. It doesn't necessarily mean that you want to do it for the rest of your life, or that you want to do it day in and day out. So it is about taking all the things that drive you, make you excited, things that you're passionate about, how you naturally flow and your zone. When you're in the zone, you hear that, I call it the flow. And it's about figuring out what in that will really ideally create, or what ideally is your life purpose from those things, because it can't be everything, but there's something in those things that you do that is common, which is what we start creating, is that common map, or that commonality of what those things actually bring you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I'm so excited now. And just like I was writing notes over here too. And I am just so in agreement with you on thinking about those things that continue to like resonate over and over again as something that you feel like I'm in the zone. This is the flow for me. This is the thing. And it's like, there are things that let's see. I think that, like you said too, you start to look at those outside like factors, right? Oh, can I make money doing this? Because I can only use myself as an example, but I'm definitely one of those people. Like, the thing that I found in purpose was that I wanted to be helping women to evolve, helping women to find like their magic, that thing, helping them sort of find purpose in and live in purpose. And, but building this community of Glow Up Girl. And I remember, two years ago when I was starting this business, I was telling my husband, so I do still have an everyday job. I'm still working for Newer. And my husband said, but how are you going to make money? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, idea here, sir. And, and that could have like been a thing that would have said, well, I'm just going to stop now because, I don't know how I'm going to make money, but I actually just dug my heels in even deeper, because I was like, no, this is something that I've been hearing from friends, from coworkers, that women need this safe space of being able to figure out like who they are, figure out what strengths they have, figure out, who they are without society telling them who they need to be and who they should be. And I said, and the way to do that is a community and to connect women and bringing, and the podcast sort of came along because COVID happened and I couldn't get in, I couldn't have in-person events. So I started doing this podcast as a way to bring women and men, who had valuable content and stories and actual practical tips that women could use to help them find more purpose in life. And so I took that road because that's always been a thing from the time I've been younger, when I've been in college, my early career, that I've always wanted to like help people and, help them find their magic, help them succeed. Like nothing brings me more joy than to like have people like on my team and be able to help them identify that thing that is like unique to them.
Yes. And I mean, if I could just say, I love your podcast and I love your mission, really. When we talk life purpose, it really is your mission. But I think you said some really key things there, which is that how am I going to make money? And, the basis of my purpose is all around coaching purpose, but really my purpose is empowering others to think differently so they can lead with purpose to prosper. And why I say prosper and not profit is because sometimes people figure out that they can live their life purpose, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to make money from it, but they can still live it while doing other things that fulfill the revenue or income part. So I really love that you said that and you kept going with your mission, because I do think it's really needed.
I was like, don't tell me no.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that you think I can't do something or I can't be successful. And, and it's funny because I'm the dreamer in my house. Like it's always like, and my husband's always like, oh, let me bring you back to reality.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, that you recognize in life, I mean, we have such accessibility now to have a voice. Anybody can have a voice and anybody can share their thoughts or their value and bring value to others in so many different ways now. Like we live in a very lucky world in a sense, from that standpoint of that things are accessible to be able to outreach to a lot of people. So I think keep on dreaming. And certainly, you have to recognize too that if you don't do anything, then you don't know where it can lead. So the basis of, so I have a podcast as well. It's called Fearless Future with Catherine McCourt. And on there, I have people who have lived through transformation. I also bring on holistic healers because all of us need some well-being and wellness in our life along our journey. But why I created that is it is about, I know sometimes it's hard, but try and be fearless and just forget about being perfect. Forget about trying to be like others who do what you think you want to do, and be yourself and bring that to whatever platform feels right to you. And you never know where it could lead. So I love that you're just going for it. I think it's beautiful.
I'm definitely.
And so am I, right?
Yes,
like,
yes.
Yeah.
And I love that what you just said as it relates to like, be yourself.
Yes.
And because I think with so many times, especially now where we are, like you said, there's so many channels to like have a voice, tell a story. And I think people get so caught up in like the people who are, like I've got the 1 million+ people following me. And it's just about, to me, it's just about if I'm touching like one person is listening to this podcast and they're like, oh my God, like, that guest was awesome. Like, this is exactly what I need. And if I'm able to like play a small part in someone discovering and being able to connect to someone who can actually help them on their journey, then my job, like, I am fulfilled. It is done. And I think that's so important because we just live in this world where it's like, oh, I have to be like this person, or you can't root for another woman because she's doing something. And I'm like, there's so many opportunities for like all of us. What is meant for me will be for me, and what is meant for you will be for you.
Yes. And I mean, you could have 1 million followers and not truly be impacting them with your mission. They could be following you because maybe you had a celebrity that you connected with. Maybe you were on a TV show. Maybe something made them made them follow you, or it could be that, hey, their friend said you should follow this account, they're trendy, and then they never look at it, or they don't, like I said, get some form of impact from it. Whereas you could have 5 followers, but every one of those 5 people are impacted by everything you do every day or every message you put out. So yeah, I think you're totally right. People just need to take a step back and say, great, there's other people that do this and they do it their way, but I'm doing it my way. And naturally, if you do that, you will naturally have the right followers following you for the right reasons.
Yes, there is still something to quality over quantity.
Yes.
All right. So, Catherine, let's talk about how people can align their purpose professionally and personally.
Sure. So I'll try and simplify it to the way that I coach it. So there are other ways that people can certainly do this. But in my coaching, I really focus on 3 components that I believe contribute to living sustainably with your life purpose. So A, to find it, but B, to actually live it sustainably, meaning that long term, it's not something where, oh, when people say, find your passion and that's your life purpose. No, because you could have a passion, but if you did that every day, can you do it ad nauseum, or will you get bored of it or not want to do it in a month? Right. So I teach these 3 components, or not teach, but really walk my clients through these 3 really specific pieces. So one is your passions, and really understanding what passion means, which is passion is the emotion behind the things that you do. So when you're doing a sport, when you're doing a creative thing, when you're doing your work, maybe you're finding passion in it, but really passion is the emotion that it's giving you. So getting attuned to what those emotions are is really key. The second thing is purpose. So not life purpose, but purpose in general, which purpose is intention. Purpose is the why behind why you enjoy doing these things, or why you like doing these things, or why you're driven to do these things. So that why, the intention. And then the third piece is the soul purpose, which I talked about before, which are all the components that I believe we're born with. I call it your DNA. It's who you naturally are in the world, how you naturally be to your friends, your family, at work, in your daily life, when you're doing a sport, when you're doing anything throughout your day, your week. But who are you naturally? Are you a natural listener? Do you naturally create? Do you naturally problem solve? All these things are part of your soul purpose. And in there, we start uncovering what could be the valuable mission that you can bring to others.
Awesome. I love that. Now, okay, so I have to ask, have you had clients who've come in and thought that their purpose was one thing, and then you sort of worked through this process and chipped away, and they landed in a completely different place?
Yes, you'd be surprised, but there are a lot of people that this tends to happen to. And it happened partly to myself really early on. We pick a career based on education. We pick a career based on maybe what we thought was popular and trendy at the time. We pick a career because we see people are enjoying their job. So we think, oh, if they love their job, I might love it too, without realizing that there might be there might be a different reason why they love that job, but you may not love it the way that they do. Mm-hmm. And it's because those components of what they do every day aren't the same components that would make you want to do it every day.
Right.
Right. So yes, I would say that, several times I'm speaking to people who are on one path where they either like or dislike what they're doing. Typically, that's why people come to me. It's like, I like it, but it's not fully fulfilling, or I want to do something different. Or they come to me and say, I'm really unhappy. I'm not fulfilled. I don't have any passion. My job is sucking the life out of me. Not sure what to do. So when they come to me, a lot of times they will then discover what it is that the reasons why they're not enjoying something, or the reasons why they enjoy it, but it might not still be fulfilling them, which takes them down a different path. So if I could give you an example, having a client that's in one industry, and thinking that they joined the industry because they love the industry, but their job didn't fulfill them. So that would be a great example of what I see often too, is that someone joins an organization based on the industry and then realizing that the actual job that they're doing isn't what they're meant to do. So we either work in a way that helps them find the right job within that organization if they already love it, because that's a lot easier than trying to find another organization that has all the pieces, right? You're already halfway there. Or we look at, okay, well, if that job doesn't exist within this industry, how do we find another industry that has this same or has the available job for you to do that will fit your life purpose or your mission or suit your values and beliefs?
Oh yeah, I like that because what you said earlier is so true about when you are going through college or, determining what career path you'd like to go. I mean, people are just like, oh yeah, well, this sounds cool. A lot of
Right.
people have jobs doing this, or like I work in marketing and I hear people say that all the time, like, oh yeah, I mean, marketing sounds cool. I should just go into marketing. And I was like, oh, okay. It's not just something you just go in and like, it's not easy. I mean, I think
Yes.
people like always just think that like it's easy to market to people.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, like there's a whole science behind like marketing to
Yes.
people. There are insights, there's analytics. Like you have to use a lot of data. I thought it was just like coming up with creative stuff. I'm like, well, it is a part of that.
Yes. But there's a whole psychology
Yeah,
behind it
then
too,
like,
right?
but there's a whole strategy that has to come into play before you ever get to the creative part. And that is
Yeah.
the like journey of understanding your customers. And once I say all that, then they're like, oh, well, I mean, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, why don't maybe read up on it?
Yeah. And this is what, like, to answer your question about, how are there a lot of people that come to me doing one thing and change to another? Certainly, yes, because that's exactly what you're describing is they followed a path in a career or a job because they thought it looked fun. Or like I said, people have certain perks in certain roles that they're like, wow, I want that too. And then they get into it and they're like, wow, like there's about 60 to 80% of this job that I do begrudgingly and I don't love. And so it's about how do we find the job that you do love that will still make you feel like you are having fun or getting those incentives or, really enjoying yourself.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, just that piece of having something that's sustainable.
Yes.
I think people often just forget about that. Like, in order for you, like, you've got to find something that you can sustain and something you can be happy with, and being fulfilled. Like, because if you're not fulfilled, you're not going to be good for if you are in a professional career, you're not going to be good for the job. You're going to be affected personally. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing something that you just started doing because you thought that was a thing to make, that's another thing, like with the entrepreneurs. Well, I started doing this because
Yes.
like everybody else is doing it and they're making money doing it. I'm like, but
Right.
do you like doing it? Like,
Right.
Are you enjoying it? Well, no, not really. I mean, but it's a way to make money. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that's not good.
So in that case, like I would work more around like, what is the true reason that you are just looking to make more money? So it's not just about making money. And certainly we all want to make more money. I mean, let's be real here, right? We all would love to make more and have more. Certainly it doesn't make life happy, but it makes life a little easier. Buys you a bit of freedom, right? Yes. But the truth is like there is an ultimate reason of why you want more money. So it's more about figuring out that, and then you can figure out what those components are that you need to be involved in what it is that you're doing to make that more sustainable. So it also comes down to people who are, jumping job to job. I almost look at it as like relationships. Of course, everybody, when you get in a new relationship, it's so fun and you have 3 months of bliss, right? I'll say 3 months. It's probably more, but depending on who you're with. And then, things start getting real, you start recognizing that we're human and we have certain things that we do that bug the other person or bugs
Yeah.
you, right? It's the same thing with a job. Like you can't keep jumping job to job. You want to find what is going to work long term. And it doesn't mean that you have to stay in a job for 5-10 years. You can still move, but move in a way that you're
Right.
either progressing with that purpose behind it, or that there's more intention in what you're doing, not just moving because you're more attuned to being interested in the high that you get from starting something new.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. I know. I have to admit, because I'm totally like fine with people changing jobs,
Yeah.
if they, but I'm like, look, you can't be on job 3 months and then change because it wasn't what you thought it was going to be. I
Right.
mean, I think you owe it to yourself and the employer to at least go through a year, get to a year and say, and then assess and say, okay, actually, I don't think this is a good fit for me.
Yes.
I mean, but I've just seen people and they're like, no, if I'm not happy, I'm leaving. And I'm like, okay, so that means you probably quit everything that you do.
Right. There's a limit to what you're doing, but there's a reason behind why
Yeah.
that is. So
Yeah.
if I could also just say, Kyra, about, you brought up the entrepreneurial thing, which is a real big one too.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of people want to do something like you said before, because maybe they see that people are making money from it, or, oh, I want to start my own business because I want to be my own boss, or I want to start
Mhm.
my business because I'm creative. But the truth is, there's so many things that are involved at the very beginning of starting out on your own. Now, if you are someone who is maybe in the tech world and you have financing behind you and a group behind you, it's very different than when you're starting out as a solopreneur, I'll call it.
Yes.
And so I think the catcher there, and why a lot of people fail at it, is because they didn't do the homework enough to figure out, what are the things that I have to do to be a solopreneur, and can I actually do that for a period of time? Because it is just a period of time, because eventually you'll grow your team or you'll get more support, right? But in the very
Mhm.
beginning, you have to understand that there are things that you will need to do that may not fit. So for example, if you're the creator, you might not want to do the bookkeeping. And if you
Yeah.
can't afford a bookkeeper right away, that could create a problem for you. So yes, I think great point about, entrepreneurs really should do a little bit more digging
Yes.
about why it is they want to do it before they fully dive in to be
Yes.
successful.
Yes, and I love what you also pointing out, like the places you have gaps, recognizing
Mm,
those, and it is going to be an investment, right? I mean, if you're going to
yes.
start a business, and like you said, if you're a solopreneur and you are funding that business, then you are going to have to try and set aside money to like bring contractors in, or people
Yeah.
that can help you in the areas that you aren't good at, like. And but then also, I think the other thing that happens, and I say this because it happened to me, like I'm a creator by like that's who I am. I
Yeah.
have big ideas.
Nice.
And I know how to implement things, I know how to implement a plan, but when it's your business, it's very different.
Yes.
When it's your business, you have to not only, yeah, you could be the creator, but your number one job is to be like the CEO.
Yes.
And so you have to be thinking strategically from a business standpoint and a mindset. And that's a shift in mindset for people. Like I'm talking about myself. So I'm not getting on to anybody out there listening or watching. This is all Kyra.
Yeah.
but if but if this touches you, you
Yes.
take this nugget. But I'm just saying for myself, I've struggled because I am very creative and I am, but I've struggled with shifting that mindset for a long time to like the CEO mindset, because guess
Yes.
what? This business doesn't grow until Kyra like makes a change and realizing that I can't spend all my time coming up with like great ideas and campaigns and social
Yes.
media campaigns. Like, no, I've got to shift to like what's important to grow this. Is it partnerships? What pillars of what business priorities do I need to set in place that help continue to help grow Glow Up Girl? And
Yes.
so that's a shift that I made this year for myself, after 2 years in the business. So people, it can still happen. I mean, you can
Nice.
be going through like floating through space, almost like
Yes.
just doing the things until you realize, like, what happened for me is I realized it wasn't sustainable. I could
Right.
not continue to like be an entrepreneur and be a professional, and they were like clashing, and
Right.
I had to change my mindset.
Yes, I think that is so important. And I love that you say the 2 year mark, because they do say, in 2 years, it takes about 2 years for people to really start gaining more momentum or gaining momentum in their business, depending on what it is, certainly. But if you are starting from scratch, I would say the 2 year mark is a really good time to sit back and assess, like you did. And really understand, like, where is my mindset around this, and what am I actually achieving, or what have I achieved in 2 years, and then how do I take that and capitalize on it for the next 2 years, and what will be the biggest nuggets that I need to focus on to help me get there. So yeah, really great point.
Awesome. Well, tell us about your Ignite Your Soul program and how it works.
Yeah, I love this. So thank you for asking. It's my first program that I had launched. So I have technically 4 programs, but
Okay.
basically 3. But Ignite Your Soul is the very first one, and it is meant for individuals and even businesses. If someone is starting a business and they're like, I really want to make sure that this is coming from a place of purpose, my business, and making sure that their mission is really loud and strong, they could also utilize this program. But essentially it was built for individuals to awaken and unleash their life purpose. So in there we walk through the 3 things, like I said before, about really uncovering passions, purpose, and soul purpose. We also work at what are the things that are completely holding them back from being able to either express their purpose or even start living their purpose. And then working around truly what it is that they want from this purpose. So in the very beginning of this podcast, we talked about, there's people who can still or want to live their life purpose, but not necessarily it be their full income driver, right? They just want certain fulfillment in their life through their life purpose. So they want to prosper from it, I call it. So we work on, okay, once we awaken what that purpose is internally, we then look at, okay, how do you want to express it? How do you want this to show up in your life? And that's the unleash part. So awaken and unleash is what Ignite Your Soul does. And it's also, doing it it's been well over a year that I launched this program. And it's been so exciting to see just the different results that come from it. So some people come because they're absolutely like, I want to know my life purpose. I want to be able to live my life purpose. Please help me. I have other people who are like, I am just not loving life right now. I don't love my job. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not sure what my next year to 3 years looks like. I just want some direction and some help. Other people, it's just like, I absolutely am living without passion. I feel like I'm just doing the day to day. I'm in a rut. I want to show up better for myself, for my friends, for my family. How can I do this? So this program, even though it is the basis of it is around discover or awakening your life purpose, it's done a lot of different things for people. And I always say it just depends on how you show up. And if I could just note on that, I do have a workshop under the same name, Ignite Your Soul, the Purpose Workshop. So if anyone's interested in that too, they could do a workshop and just see kind of what it is. So the workshop entails purpose, passion, and soul purpose, and aligning this purpose in your personal and professional life. So the workshop doesn't necessarily allow us time to find your life purpose, but it gets you on the track, or at least start sparking more passion in your life. And there's a lot of people that come out of the workshop even going, wow, I actually know what I want to do now, of how I want to move forward in my career or my life. So
awesome. Love that. Yeah. Love that. All right. I love having conversations on purpose because it's just so important. And I feel like it's like the key to unlocking so much, like
yes,
to like unlocking true like joy in your life. If you know that thing that fuels you and that thing that like you said awakens, it's just like awakening and igniting your soul. Like it is the
yes,
thing that you
yeah,
get really excited about like all the time. And I think when you're in purpose, it doesn't feel like work. I mean,
Exactly. Yes.
it is a form of work, but it doesn't
Yes.
feel like it because you're like always trying, like, you're always thinking about, oh, okay, I could probably do this too. And you're not like all like, oh my gosh. I mean, yes, you still need balance of like rest and time, downtime, and time for that. But it should feel different than something that isn't your purpose.
Yes. And that's one of the myths. Like I talk about myths or demystifying
Hmm.
purpose, which is a lot of people think, oh, is life purpose is one thing that I go and find. Again, it's not finding it, it's within you. The second thing is that it's not one dimensional, I say. So meaning that there's one life purpose, meaning your mission that you live by, your values and your beliefs, but it can change, evolve, and develop, and you can express it in so many different ways. So it doesn't mean that you I'll say find, even though I mean awaken life purpose and start this one job or start building this one business and that's all you do. As you start doing it, you will start recognizing other things that you can do, but that's still tied back to what that actual life purpose mission is.
Yeah, awesome. Like it. All right. Well, why don't you tell everyone out there how they can connect to you?
Sure. I have a website, catherinemccourt.com. I won't spell it. I imagine it will be in the show notes.
It will.
Okay. So catherinemccourt.com is the website. And on there, you can get free guides. You can connect for my events, which are the workshops that I do, as well as I have a blog and my podcast is on there as well. So the website's a great resource to go to. I also just launched a resource page on it, which shows books and products for both self-help, wellness, empowerment, inspiration. And then I hang out on Instagram mainly. So at Catherine L. McCourt. And my podcast Instagram is fearless.future. Those are really the places I hang out, but I'm also on LinkedIn and all of the connections are on the website as well to make it easy for people.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right. So we're going to do two more little segments here. Next up is 3 things with Catherine. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Just helps us to get to know you a little bit better. My first question is a 2-parter. How do you start and end the day?
Starting the day, it depends, but most days I will start with turning on my phone like everybody else. But when I say that, a lot of times it's actually for a meditation. So especially days when I wake up and I feel like I'm sort of like, your mind is racing and there's all these things going on. To calm myself, I literally roll over, grab my phone, turn it on, and I do a meditation and I don't even get out of bed. So some people think, oh, if I meditate, that means I got to get up and I got to take my mat out and sit down somewhere. No, I actually just roll over in bed. I put on a meditation, heart to hand, heart to my intention, and I meditate for 10 to 15 minutes. I also have a dog, so I walk her, of course, every morning. I'm very lucky to live near some beautiful trails and a creek, as well as the ocean. So when I take her out, I really try and only do that, meaning be present with her in nature and just allow my mind to settle for the day. At the end of the day, I would say some form of physical activity. I need physical activity in my life. I've always been a super active person. I come from an active family. We were always into sports. So some form of activity such as biking. Sometimes I do yoga, but I prefer to do like last night I went paddle boarding. So stand-up paddle boarding, running. Sometimes it's just a walk with my sister. She lives near me. Take a walk with her and the dogs or something. So yeah, to end my day, I like to just do something that unwinds me.
Awesome. Love that. Okay. Now, if you are a person who, sets goals or intentions for yourself for the year, what is one that you've set this year?
The one that I set this year was to take my Ignite Your Soul program and develop it onto an online program. So I do workshops both live and online, but what I want to do is take the actual program and create it for online use, meaning that people can do it anytime, anywhere. They register, they do it on their own. But when I say on their own, because there are those pieces that really need some coaching for the mindset piece and the fear piece and uncovering all those other three components, then having contact with me. So during the program, it's once a week that they would meet with me virtually, but they can do the program on their own time. So that is the goal for this year, is to get that up and running.
Awesome. And last, what do you do on a day off?
Oh, it could run the gamut, really. I love to hike, again, physical activity. So if I can go hiking, paddling, those would be my first, I guess, two choices. Biking along the water or something, or near the mountains where there's some sort of view. Sometimes I just do a picnic in the park with some friends, and we just get together and we each bring some good food and maybe some drinks and just hang out, if the weather permits. And sometimes I read, but usually I like to get outside. We spend so much time indoors. I'm really big on getting outside and doing something that just fuels the soul.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, before I let you leave me, what are the top 1 to 3 things you'd like the audience to take away from our conversation today?
A great question. I would first say life purpose. Think of it as a simple thing, but understand that you need patience to really understand it and really awaken it. Number 2 would be intention. So if you start living with more intention and asking yourself why it is that you're doing these things or why you want to do them, that will bring more intention in your life and usually will help provide you with some answers of why some things work for you and why some things don't. And number 3, I'd say, is know yourself. Start getting to know yourself. Really, really take time to figure out what your passions are. Really figure out what drives you and what excites you. And no matter what you do in life, whether it's in your personal life or your professional life, try and start including those things in the things that you do, because the more you do that, that will bring you to more inspiration and fulfillment overall.
Awesome. Love those. Well, Catherine, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful conversation. Like I said, a topic that is near and dear to my heart that I love talking about. So you always have a place to come back and share in the future here at Glow Up Girl.
Thank you so much, Kyra. It was such a pleasure to be on your show today. And I love what you're doing. And yes, it's so needed, and keep going because it's beautiful.
Thank you. Well, stay tuned, everyone. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the Glow Up Girl podcast. I'm Kyra. Thanks again to Catherine for joining the show today and for that awesome discussion on awakening your purpose. As I mentioned in the opening, I love having discussions on purpose and living with intention and authenticity. It's so important in our life. So I'm really grateful for any time that I can have a chat with someone on the subject. So if you'd like to learn more about Catherine, visit her website at catherinemccourt.com. You can grab all the links Catherine mentioned in the show notes as well. If you'd like to learn more about Glow Up Girl, feel free to visit our website at glowupgirl.com. You can check out past podcast episodes. You can sign up to be a guest on the show, grab our social links, and so much more. If you have any topics you'd like to have us talk about, or if you have any guests that you'd like to recommend, feel free to send us an email at hello@glowupgirl.com. As always, thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to join me. I so appreciate your support, and I'll see you all again next week. As always, stay focused, fab, and glow up. Take care, everyone.